What's up, Kyle? It is episode 6 of the Watson and Wiltshire podcast. We are here. We're excited. We're all about it. It's been fun, man. 6 episodes. As far as we're planning for season 1 of the Watson and Wiltshire podcast, I think we planned for 12 episodes, so we're at the halfway point. Should we do a little reminiscing?
Yeah, I mean, it's halftime. Usually that's what you do at halftime. You go in the locker room, you make some adjustments, you talk about what went well, what maybe you could work on to be better, So yeah, I think that's a fun idea. Let's do that.
I think one of the highlights for me in the last couple of episodes was you not only revealing a gift that you have, but like being prepared with the harmonica in your pocket, just ready to go. Like that was a highlight for me for sure.
Well, Jay, I'm full of surprises. I'm always full of surprises.
Okay. All right. You got any highlights, buddy?
I mean, I've got several. I think I was genuinely, I don't want to rehash too much our last episode, but I was genuinely tickled at your first concert story of going to Barry Manilow. That really got me right in the funny bone, just because it's so Barry Manilow, man. That's just,
What are you gonna do?
Hey, he writes the songs,
Yeah,
he writes the songs.
Yeah, a whole generation of children named Mandy are basically because of him.
For real, yeah. I mean, that was a super popular name growing up. We knew a lot of Mandys, I'm sure, or Amandas, shortened to Mandy.
Yeah. A lot of Amandas, a lot of Mandys, a lot of all those fun names. There's also a lot of Amy's in 1977. I don't know. Did you have Amy's?
Oh, tons of Amy's. Yeah. One of my first loves in life was an Amy. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
And how old were you?
Oh man, 4th, 5th grade, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just good times. Good times back in the elementary school.
Well, tonight we're going to be talking about, a little bit of a continuation from last week, right?
A little bit, yeah. We had, in our last episode, we played a game to see how well we knew one another, and like on the fly, we decided, hey, whoever loses, there's got to be a consequence. Put something on the line, and sure enough, we tied the game. So we're like, well, hey, let's both put something on the line. So let's have a movie exchange. You give me a movie to watch and I give you a movie to watch. And here on this episode, we're going to talk about the movies that we made each other watch. It's exciting.
Well, it's kind of funny because, playing this game with you is probably the most fun I've had playing a game like this because we both know each other so well.
Yeah.
That we can pick things that are either surprising or outside of our comfort zone or infuriating. And so like I'm looking forward to talking about that. A little teaser for later. But I chose a movie for you that I don't think you would have ever watched had I not chosen it.
Yeah, probably not.
When it comes to horror, that's not your thing, right?
No,
comes to
not
like
really.
Yeah, and it comes to, and I wouldn't classify this as horror, but it's a little bit of a sci-fi reality kind of different kind of thing that is intense and maybe a little spooky, some jump scares. And so because of that, like probably not up your alley. And so I don't know why you didn't choose to watch it, because when it came out, I talked about how much I loved it.
Yeah.
And, but for you, I just knew it wasn't going to be on your list. And so, tell us what you watched, Kyle, and then tell us why you didn't want to watch it, and then kind of some general thoughts.
Nope. That's not me refusing to say what I watched. That is actually the name of the movie. Nope.
Yeah.
And it's said many times in the movie. Somebody just goes, nope, just like that.
Hey. When he goes and locks the door, locks the door, nope.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
So Nope is, I believe, a 2022 or 2021 film. 22 by Jordan Peele, of Keenan and Peele fame.
Key and Peele.
Sorry. Key and Peele. Yeah. I went Keenan and Kel.
Yeah,
I
you
went
did.
Keenan and Kel and
Yeah, you
combined
did.
Keenan and Peele,
Mm-hmm.
Key and
Yep.
Peele. Yeah, excuse me. Who you probably would know from The Substitute Teacher, and the my favorite one that they do are the ridiculous names for the college all-star game. Like,
Gremlins 2 is a personal favorite for me. The Gremlins 2 sketch where they talk about how they came up with all the Gremlins and Gremlins 2. That's my personal favorite. That's a genius skit.
yeah, I don't know if I've seen that one. I may have to look that one up. But
Kyle, it's going to be life-changing for you. Do you remember the different types of gremlins that were in Gremlins 2?
I saw Gremlins 2 once, and you would not be surprised to know that the only thing that I remember from it is that Hulk Hogan makes a cameo. That's it.
When we get done after we record that, we're watching this together. Like we're gonna put it on the Zoom or something. We're gonna watch it together because it's fantastic. Anyway, Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele.
Nope.
Nope is the name of the film. Yeah. I guess one of the things that kind of turned me off was I saw the trailer in the theater, and it was intentionally ambiguous. Like, what is this about? What is this movie about? And it was, he's pretty renowned. I think was Get Out the film he did just before? Nope.
No.
Or was there something in between?
Us.
Okay. I've never seen Get Out or Us, but I know Get Out is fantastic. I mean, I've heard it's just really a great film.
Yeah.
So I know of him. So when this one comes out, I feel like I'm like, this guy's feeling himself, man. He's just so excited to be famous, and he wants to, he wants to show off here. So he's not going to tell us anything about his movie. He's just going to think that we're going to go see it because it's him, and a lot of people did for that reason. But it just turned me off. I was like, I want to know a little bit more about, what I'm going into, except for seeing, wind puppets and horses and, a lot of the weird stuff that was in the trailer is like, I don't know what I'm watching. This doesn't really do it for me. So it kind of turned me off. I'll be honest, as a film goer.
You said after watching the trailer, nope.
I did. Yeah, I did. Now, I've made that mistake many times. You and I have talked about this, maybe even on this podcast. I can't remember, but I felt that way after I saw the Matrix trailer. I was like, nope. So I thought it looked stupid. I thought Keanu Reeves, he's like, whoa, I thought, oh, this is dumb. What's this going to be? And it, completely wrong. I was dead wrong. So my instincts about trailers are not always right.
If we're talking about moments where you're wrong, Kyle, my most documented and well-reported moment where you and I had a disagreement and I was actually right. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Yes. I went on record to say Guardians of the Galaxy was going to be the first Marvel bust. You could say Hulk or I think it was just Hulk.
Kind of before they went on a tear.
Yeah, before pre-Avengers, it kind of doesn't count as much, but post-Avengers, I thought, when they were on their just, streak of
Pixar
success.
Tear. Pixar tear.
I thought, man, this one's the one that's going to fail, because who wants to go see a talking tree, and who wants to go see a talking raccoon, and like it just and at that point Chris Pratt wasn't a name. We knew him from Parks and Rec, we knew him from other things. He had been in lots of other things, but like, do I really want to see a whole movie where this guy's the main character? I don't know, So,
I do think where you and I sometimes are different is I can get really on board with a director and like have a lot of faith in a director. And for me, James Gunn was that. Like I had kind of followed James Gunn a little bit and knew that he liked the quirk. And so like Guardian, the source material too. And like, it's similar kind of a thing for this, what we're talking about with Nope. Like, Jordan Peele has had like this smashing success where his films aren't just good, but they're great. Yeah. And so you're kind of like, I'm not jumping on the hype train. We'll see. Right. And this trailer doesn't do it for me. And so if you're not going to tell me what it's about, I don't need to know, okay, we got Glenn from The Walking Dead. And other than that, I don't know anything.
Right.
So I'm out.
Yeah. Daniel Kaluuya, I believe, is that how you say his name? The main character, I think he had just won his Oscar. So, there was a lot of reason to, be excited for the movie, just like you said, because he's got, Peele has some renown, he's had some hits and, so, but it just, I don't know. It just did not appeal to me, so yeah, I kind of rejected it before I even really gave it a chance, Now on the other end of trailers, sometimes I'm really wrong about a trailer that looks awesome. And I'm like, this is going to be the greatest movie ever because the trailer looks so good. And then go to the movie and I'm like, that was terrible. Case in point.
We should do a trailer episode where we talk about some of those. Like where we were like trailers we watched and then like how disappointed we were.
Yeah.
Or the opposite.
Yeah. Prometheus is the greatest example. That to me, that is one of the greatest trailers of all time. And the movie really didn't hit.
That's a whole nother kind of art form in itself, is like the cultivating of a trailer and like making it. I feel like lately trailers in the last 5 or 10 years, they tell everything about the movie. And sometimes with comedies in particular, it's like you get every funny joke in the trailer.
Yeah.
And you're like, why did I just pay $20 to watch this? I could have just got the Cliff Notes in 2.5 minutes or whatever.
Right. For sure. Well, we've kind of drifted off topic, but you know, that was the movie you assigned me. Nope. And I did watch it. I have watched it and I'm ready to discuss it. Now, do you want to talk about the movie that I assigned you, or do we want to go ahead and address Nope, and then we'll go to the movie?
Let's go ahead and, because we go off on tangents and do things, let's go ahead and hit Nope.
Okay.
I'd love to know, okay, you've now seen it. Like, what did you think about the movie as a whole? What did you enjoy? What did you not like? How were you surprised? Like, now that you know what it's about, what did you think?
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. I did kind of find myself toward the end, kind of looking at my watch a little bit going, I want this to wrap up, you know? But I didn't hate it. I thought it had some cool elements. I did enjoy sort of the suspense of like, what's happening, you know?
What is this?
What is this? Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, the way it began, and Jay, we need to say this up front. There's no way to have this conversation apart from spoilers.
Yeah, we're about to ruin the movie Nope.
We're going to ruin Nope, and we're going to ruin the movie that I assigned Jay in a few minutes, 20 minutes or so, maybe less.
It came out like 2.5 years ago, so like this is on you.
This is on you.
Number two, if you want to watch Nope, would you recommend it to someone, just like a stranger?
It kind of depends if they like kind of suspenseful, kind of sci-fi suspense. Absolutely. Yeah. I absolutely would recommend it. It's a well done film.
It's
well made.
If you want to watch something that you're going to be surprised by, then you should watch Nope. So we're about to go into spoiler territory.
Yep.
If you haven't seen it, pause right now, come back to this episode later. For our many, many tens and tens of people that are listening to this, I just pause it and go watch Nope. Check it out. See what you think.
Yeah. Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning.
All right. So that was the spoiler warning.
Let's go. Yep.
Yeah. So the way it begins with the, chimpanzee demolishing, the set, and you don't really know what's happening in the moment, but like killing some of his co-stars. He's a trained animal for a TV show, and he kills some of his co-stars. He goes nuts and kills his co-stars. I was like, whoa, didn't see that coming at all.
I don't remember whether or not he actually killed them or he just maimed them. Like, I think there was a lot of, bad stuff, whatever the case.
I think, I believe when Glenn from Walking Dead, but I think his Juniper, I believe was his character's name in the film. When he is recanting the story, there's a scene where the brother and sister,
they're in the office.
They go into the office, and man, I'm going to do horrible with character names. I need to see movies over and over again before I know their character names. But the brother and sister, kind of the main characters, they go into his office for a conversation, and he takes them sort of into like this, like hidden behind the scenes sort of tour of. He was on that TV show. He was a child actor on the TV show, and he experienced this firsthand. And so he goes in and he tells what happened. And, he talks about an imaginary SNL skit, that was based on, which I don't think they would make.
So let's go back real quick.
Yeah.
Main character is O.J. Haywood. That's played by Daniel Kaluuya. And then we got Keke Palmer. She's playing Emerald.
Yeah. And they're brother and sister. That's important to
know.
know.
And you're talking about Ricky Jupe Park, played by Stephen Yeun.
Yeah, Stephen Yeun. Yes, who was Glenn from Walking Dead. We know him best.
Yeah.
If we call him,
we got OJ and Emerald is who we're talking about.
Yeah, there's really only like 6 characters in the whole show, in the whole movie, which kind of makes it cool. And there's 2 others that sort of get introduced later on in the story. But So yeah, they go to Juniper's office, and he takes them into this tour of, you know, behind the scenes, because he was there. He was a child actor on the set when the chimpanzee went bananas. That's really not the point of the movie. I think there's a key element that makes it part of the point of the movie.
Yeah,
But
a theme.
Yes, but just the way with it starting that way, it just kind of blew my mind. I was like, well, what is this? And you know, the chimp looks at the camera, and I knew right there, there's good filmmaking. I knew right there, it's like, oh, he sees someone. And sure enough, later in the film, you realize that he sees the boy who became the man later in the, you know, in the movie Juniper. He sees him, you know, and he's made eye contact with him. So yeah, that was kind of a chilling way to start the movie, because you don't really know. It's kind of a Jaws moment. You don't really know what's happening. You hear screaming, you hear, you know.
Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah.
Like it starts out, and I would imagine that, Kyle, you were probably thinking, what has Jay done to me? Like at this point, like, what is this? What am I about to watch?
Joni,
so
my wife, watched it with me, and she was like, is he making you watch this because it's something you would never watch on your own? I was like, yes.
I would say I hope it was worth it. Hope it was good for you. I think there was some really good things in that film.
Yeah.
You want to know why I recommended it for you?
I would love to know. Yeah.
So the other day you were talking about watching the movie Signs with your boys.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt a kinship to Signs and to this movie in some ways.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's where it kind of triggered it for me. And I thought, man, I think he really, like, M. Night is kind of the master of the twist, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so what is Nope about? What's going on? What's happening? It's a similar kind of thing in a way. And so, like, I don't know. I was like, yeah, it's time. Kyle needs to see it.
Yeah.
So tell us what you liked. Tell us what you maybe didn't like so much.
Yeah.
We're going to land on kind of the thing that we're going to be talking about for this whole episode, really. So we're talking about theme.
Yeah.
It's something we're going to touch on for this movie and for the next movie, and then for our book a little bit, maybe our lives even, Kyle. I don't know. Maybe we'll just get deep tonight.
I'm looking forward to that. And I will give my lightning bolts, how many lightning bolts. You know, you asked me
I like it.
Earlier in an
are we
earlier
going
episode.
on a 1 to 5 lightning bolts?
Yeah, I won't give it now, but I'll give it when we get to the end.
Okay.
What did I like? I liked the acting. I did like, and I enjoy a story that unfolds. I do. That's not like right out of the chute. You know what you're watching. You know what they're going after. There wasn't necessarily I didn't think like a MacGuffin. You know, I mean, I guess you could call the alien ship a MacGuffin. You know, because what is it? We don't really know what it is. But the whole idea, and we really haven't even got to this point, but let's talk about it. The brother and sister, OJ and Emerald, live on a ranch that has historically provided trained horses for Hollywood, for movies, for TV shows, things like that. And this alien ship, or this alien craft, has sort of landed right there in this sort of valley, this sort of mountainous valley in California outside of Hollywood. And OJ and Emerald realize what's going on, and they go on this quest to get a picture of it. They want to get a picture of
proof. They want proof.
They want proof. They want to be the ones to give proof that, you know, alien life forms exist and they're here on Earth. You know, that leads them to meet a character named Angel, who is a guy who works at like
Best Buy, for lack of a better term.
It's Fry's, but I think is a real place. But he's real disinterested. But it is like a Best Buy. He's real disinterested, you know. And then he comes in when he finds out what they're doing. He becomes sort of like the third wheel in their adventure, and he's, you know, some comic relief.
IT support.
Yeah, he's the tech guy. He's their Cole Denton, you know, to some extent. I enjoyed not really knowing what was going on. I did feel like it dragged a little toward the end. I enjoyed sort of, you know, they turned it into kind of a Western at the end. You know, I thought that was kind of fun. Or he did, Peele turned it into a Western. I think that was sort of fun. I love sort of genre bending sometimes.
Yeah.
it's like, here's this sci-fi movie, not so much like Cowboys and Aliens genre bending, but more like, hey, it's this suspense sci-fi thriller, and we're turning it into a Western right here at the end, because it does sort of take place in a sort of backlot looking theme park that's set as like a Western theme. So yeah, I liked it. It just, it wasn't something that I want to come back to time and time again.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Things that you wish were different.
Oh man. I can't say if there's anything like, I think they should have done, like, I don't have a nitpick for the story.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, the one thing I would like, if I had written the story, the one thing that I probably would have nitpicked is that Angel wasn't a stranger, that he wasn't someone that they went to a store and they met and he just sort of got swept up in it. I would have made him an extension, like a friend of Emerald's, who's like, I got a friend who can help us, that sort of thing, because he came in and it was just immediately got a little too familiar. Like he was like staying at their house and they went over to his house, and it just, I mean, I know it's sort of like everyone's sort of swept up in this adventure of what is this? We want to get, evidence of this alien visitation. But, they got a little too familiar too fast. Like, there was even moments like he was kind of abrasive when he was installing the cameras at the ranch and stuff. And I thought, why would they ever want to hang out with this guy again? So that's why I thought maybe the character would have played a little better if he was like a friend, or even somebody like, was in an earlier scene, like a guy who, I don't know, comes in and handles some of their tech in the house. That, I don't know, something that sort of would have made him a little bit more connected to the characters.
Okay. 1 to 5 lightning bolts. Where you
at? Well, let me say this. You asked me, before I get to that, before I make my final, you asked me what I thought the theme of the movie was, and I haven't addressed it yet.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I believe the theme of the movie is, if you notice, every single person in the movie was chasing fame. They were all chasing fame. They were all trying to get famous. Even in an early scene, OJ and Emerald's father dies because there's this alien ship is dropping things, and they thought it was like coming from an airplane or something. He actually gets hit in the head and dies. And even he is making this speech about, we're going to do this. This horse is the one that's going to get us, to the next level. We're going to be famous again, or something like that. There was this really important scene where, they said the very first, I don't know, this may be true or maybe not, but the very first moving picture ever was a man on a horse, a black man on a horse, in a 2-second clip, kind of like on a reel going around and around.
Yeah, I didn't research that to find out if that was true or not. I just kind of accepted it in that universe, and it might be true in ours as well. I don't know.
I bet it is. I have a feeling that it is
it
true.
Felt right. It felt real.
But even that was sort of like a pull toward, hey, fame. This is the first person. He's famous, and we don't know his name, but let us tell you his name. It turned out it was a great grandfather, I believe, of these two characters.
And the ranch. Right.
And the ranch. He was the founder of the ranch, the first one to introduce these trained horses to Hollywood. There's a director that's introduced later, and I thought he was great. His name was Antlers. It's like, that's perfect. That is perfect for a director name. And, he's wanting to chase the perfect shot. Like later in the film, like they pretty much get a shot of he creates a camera that he just cranks by reel. It doesn't use electricity, because that's something that they could tell when the alien ship is coming. It shuts down electricity. So he needed to create a camera that didn't use electricity. He pretty much got the shot, but he looked at the horizon. He was like, it's almost magic hour. I can get a better shot, and it cost him his life. He died because and so I've been calling this thing a ship the whole time, but it's actually a creature. It's actually some type of like sentient creature that looks like a ship.
Good.
And what it does is it flies over and eats people. It comes
horses. Horses for that matter.
Eats horses, eats people. Yeah. Yes. Doesn't like plastic horses though. We knew that. Or streamers. Doesn't like streamers either. So I think the theme of the movie is that chasing fame will eat you up. It will eat you up and destroy your life. I think that's, well, go ahead. I've talked a lot. Go ahead.
No, I want to hear what and
OJ is an animal trainer, and he knows that when you deal with animals, there are ways you have to deal with animals, and some animals you can't look at. And so he realizes he couldn't look at the alien ship creature when it flew over, so he knew sort of how to interact with it. And I think one of the themes of the film is that if you're going to be famous, you got to know how to interact with it. You got to know how to treat it so that it doesn't eat you alive, so that it doesn't destroy your life, so it doesn't suck you dry. And to me, those were the themes that I sort of pulled out of the film, and I appreciate that theme. That's pretty cool coming from Hollywood,
I think it's a fantastic kind of breakdown for seeing it one time. I don't. Are you going to admit was there any pre-study going on?
No.
Did you study it? Okay, good job.
No. Now, probably
Ringer episode.
What's that?
Ringer episode.
I probably listened to a podcast a couple of years ago where they talked about it, and some of that may have come up, but I do not specifically remember someone saying on a Ringer podcast that the theme of the movie is fame.
Fame. Yeah.
It just felt right.
I don't know that I took it that far, but for me, I think it works really well with kind of where I landed with it, and is like there are some things in life that are untamable. There are things that you think you're going to chase after, and when you chase after them, they're going to come back and they're going to bite you. And you gotta realize that sometimes things you just shouldn't mess with, right? Like, having a chimpanzee or whatever. I think it was a chimpanzee. A chimpanzee on a sitcom hanging out like it's a real person. Like, one balloon pop and he's losing his mind.
He went nuts.
Same thing with a horse, right? Like if you don't honor a horse the way a horse is supposed to be honored, it'll kill you.
Yeah.
And, Stephen Yeun was trying to tame the alien creature so he could have a show every day, and the alien would come down. And like, there's just a lot of those pieces that you think about it, and you tie it into fame, right? It's the same concept. It's this one illustration, this one metaphor for all of it. Like for this particular film, it has to do with wild creatures, and that chasing after that, what it can do and the damage it can cause. And it's that really bigger picture thing of what you talked about with fame, I think is beautiful because it's exactly what they're doing. Keke Palmer shows up, Emerald, and she's hustling. She's talking about all the things that she can do. Like the first time you meet her, she's like, here's all the great skills I've got, you know? And so like, they're trying to get famous. They're trying to make money. They're trying to hustle. And what happens when you catch it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was some of the Antlers character. He was like, it's never attainable. Remember, he was like the perfect shot. The director, the perfect shot is never attainable. Yeah, but he's still gonna chase it. He was still gonna chase it. So
really well done film.
Yeah,
really well done story for Kyle and Jay to not pick apart the plot. I think I would agree that it did drag a little bit in that last third act.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly because I haven't watched it in a long time, but did some dude show up in like a motorcycle with like a mirror? Like that didn't seem to really fit to anything, did it?
It was a paparazzi. And again, fame, chasing fame. It was because there had been, the creature had attacked one of the shows at the neighboring, the next door neighbors where they were doing the show to show, hey, here's the alien creature. And they all got killed. And so word was starting to get out that something was happening in this area. And so they called him TMZ. That's, I assume it was just some sort of paparazzi, cause he was worried about his cameras and stuff.
That's good.
Yeah. So my lightning bolts.
Yeah.
I'd give it 3.5 lightning bolts. 3.5.
Okay.
So a little more than Twisters. I gave Twisters 3.25. So I'd give it 3.5 lightning bolts.
Okay. Did Joni finish it?
She watched the whole thing?
Number one. Hold on. Oh, well, that answers my question. I was going to ask, did she fall asleep?
She watched the whole thing. She did not fall asleep because we started it at 10 o'clock in the morning.
And?
She did not enjoy it.
Yeah, not for her.
Not for her, no.
How many lightning bolts would she give it?
Probably one, maybe one and a half.
Yeah. What did you think about the scene with the three little aliens showing up in the? What did you think of that one?
That was very reminiscent to me of Signs, where You know, it was sort of like what is happening? What are we seeing? You know, when they popped up, I was like, it's on. It is happening so quick. And it turned out to be the neighbor kids, you know, playing a prank. You know, I thought that was clever. It did have good humor, some good humorous moments.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad that you didn't hate it, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it enough to, you know, give it some compliments. So,
yeah.
and it is an interesting, theme for a Hollywood film,
For sure.
and one that Jordan Peele, for that matter, is, you know, probably really lived. I mean, like Get Out was like this little film that exploded. And next thing you know, he's in demand. He's got to do it again.
Yeah.
Now this is his third one.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, is he going to bomb or not? And I don't know. I haven't gone to really look. Do you know? Have you mojoed this one?
I have not. I don't think it topped 100,000. I think it was a little less than that. Maybe it just barely creeped over 100,000 because it probably had a real big opening weekend, and then
domestic opening was 44 million.
So it probably got over 100.
It grossed 123 million in domestic.
Okay.
And I don't know where to find.
Yeah,
you're better at this than I am.
You have to click something else to get worldwide.
So worldwide, we went to 171 million.
So it didn't do much overseas. Which
about 50 million.
Yeah,
but I mean, that
doesn't surprise me.
That's pretty good for a 2022 release. You know, unless it's a Marvel. I mean, this was a wholly original IP.
It is original. So, which is good. I'm very grateful for stories that are not IP, that are, you know, completely one and done, you know, like, and that, you know, that are successful. So I have affinity for that for sure. All right. I'm so excited about this, Jay. I am so excited about this. Which movie did I ask you to watch?
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I am by very nature a hipster, and I'm probably one of the first hipsters that ever hipstered. Like, I had Apple products when nobody else had them, right. And then people started to get them, and I was like, I'm not getting an iPhone. Forget that. Like, I've never owned an actual iPhone. Like, I've called everybody sheep for having iPhones.
Right.
Like, that's, you know, I like music that's a little new that people haven't heard of, and I like introducing them. And then when it gets popular, I'm like, So like, I'm that guy. Like, I am that guy, and I accept it. I accept my Generation X-ness and that whole thing. And so, you know, I've been thinking a lot about this, Kyle, and I almost feel like you have been plotting this moment for maybe years. Like, you thought, like almost like Inception. Like, you planted the idea in my head before I realized it happened. That we got to end of the game, and you're like, let's pick a movie, and we'll assign each other movies, and it'll be fun. Because I drew a line in the sand a while back. Occasionally, you'll do this, and you'll get onto a movie, and you'll be like, "This is the greatest movie ever. You got to watch it." And I will just say, "Nope, not going to watch it." And for me, that line in the sand was Avatar 2: The Way of Water. I don't know why. Partially because I didn't think the first movie was like that awesome, even though like it crushed. Like, the things about it that were good had to do more with the special effects, the 3D, the, you know, again, a new universe somebody had created. And so it was kind of a fun thing to go and watch and see what it was about, how he did it. And then it was James Cameron.
Yeah.
Like, James Cameron was doing a thing. And so I think that first one came out in 2009. And then here we are. It was 10 years later, right?
2019. It was like 22 or 21 when it came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
But yeah, it's fairly recently. It's been on Disney Plus less than a year, I would say, maybe a year. But I have avoided. Not only have I avoided it, I haven't watched any part of it. I haven't watched any clips or trailers. I just stayed away, and I don't think you went immediately when it came out.
We saw it pretty quickly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a super fond memory of seeing the original, and I loved the original. And honestly, we'll talk about this more maybe at the end, but I took a lot of inspiration for the Dead Rock Stars from the original in a certain way, in that James Cameron, the story of Avatar is not super original, in that it's basically Pocahontas or any one of these, doing awful things to native people and to pushing them out of their land, and like making them do things against their will, and then sort of what's the word I'm looking for? A forbidden love, kind of story. Like those are kind of tropes to some extent. But put together the right recipe. You put the right recipe of tropes together and you have a fantastic story. And that to me was what I enjoyed so much, along with the special effects and the technology and all the things about the first Avatar.
So I watched Avatar 2 and
I'm so excited for this.
I started it about 3 weeks ago, and I had to sit like at a chair for the last 3 weeks because that's how long this freaking movie is, Kyle. It's 3 hours and like 15 minutes, and that's not like trailers or anything on the front end. So like if you went to see this in the theater, like you had to like prepare.
Yeah.
Maybe give yourself a catheter or something so you could like stay in the movie theater the whole time.
Adult undergarment,
Yeah. Bring a snack, maybe some Depends. I don't know how you get through what you're going to get through, but like I went to the bathroom more times than I've ever gone to the bathroom in a movie just because it was so long. Like Avatar 2 is long. Avatar 2 is like, you might need to schedule your next haircut before you go in long. Like it is a long movie, Kyle. And the first 30 minutes is kind of like, here's a fun little recap of everything that you missed and all the updates. And it's like, we're going to tell you a little story, and it's going to be, Sam Worthington talking. And, which by the way, like, what a gig for that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he was the next hot thing in 2009.
Yeah.
And he's been in stuff, but like, he did not take off like everybody thought he would.
Right. Yeah.
And yet here he is. And,
it's not quite, but it's a little bit like, if George Lucas had done the sequels of Star Wars before the prequels and he had to bring back an older Mark Hamill, who like, everybody's like, this is going to be the guy. And then he sort of didn't do a whole lot after that. Now, Sam Worthington's done more than Mark Hamill did after that. Mark Hamill became like a world-class voice actor. So it'd be like, okay, now we're doing these Star Wars sequels. We've got to bring this guy back. Hadn't seen a whole lot of him, but here he comes back in the lead role, for another blockbuster. So yeah, I could see that.
I'm trying to think about what I want to actually say about the film.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Did you enjoy it? In spite of its length, did you enjoy it?
I'm still processing as far as whether or not I think it's like a great movie.
Okay.
I'm not going to call it a film. It's a movie. It might be a great movie. Like it might be. I'm still processing it. I would probably give it like 4 to 4.5 lightning bolts as far as like I'll tell you the things I don't like, and then I'll tell you the things I really like.
Okay. We can do it that way.
I cannot stand the MacGuffins that are in these things.
Okay.
Like the MacGuffins are the dumbest things ever, and they name them the dumbest things ever. And like, it's offensive to me as a person with a brain to name things like, we're after this rare element that we're having to get that's going to like change the world. It's the most valuable thing ever, and it's unobtainium. Like that was yeah. And the like, you get to this movie and it's like they're not even talking about unobtainium has apparently been obtained, and it's not so interesting anymore. And so now it's amorite. So if you slow down amorite, it's am I right? Like that ticks me off, man. Like that's like James Cameron is like making fun of me for enjoying whatever it is that he's doing. And it's like they go whale poaching and we've already done spoilers, but like they go whale poaching, and then like to show how gross these humans are, like they're only taking the special brain guts out of this whale. They're going to let the whale, the alien whale, the tulkum or the tumulcum or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
We're going to let them float off in the carcass, and we're just going to take this little juice because this juice truly stops the aging process. I'm like, come on, man. Come on. This is what we're doing. And like, if this is what we're doing, then why did you land on the planet and like nuke the Earth when really all you're after is whale brains, because whale brains are not on the Earth. There is no reason for you to even colonize. Just drop the ships into the ocean, man. And they shoot like a beacon onto this alien whale so that they can follow it. But when they show it on the screen, they're showing a 3D rendering of all the other whales that are around it and where they are based on this thing. And it's like, I don't, it's fine. It's fine. None of this stuff is really that big of a deal. It's just unobtainium, am I right? The conversations, bringing back that guy. What's that guy's name?
Yeah, the main bad guy, the antagonist.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
I can't remember his name either. Yeah.
It's okay. We won't even bother looking it up. It's fine.
But he dies at the end of the first one. The human character dies at the end of the first one, and they bring him back as an avatar at the beginning.
It's a digital copy of his records, his brain.
I've got the IMDb right here. Let me just Quaritch.
Yeah, I don't know.
Quaritch, something like that. I told you on the front end, you're going to have to just bear with like the first, 15, 20 minutes.
I mean, one of the things that you said, Kyle, was just go with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just go with it.
So fine. I suffered through the first 40 minutes, like almost fell asleep. Then it picked up and it got good. And I still don't know whether or not it needs 3 hours and 15 minutes. Like James Cameron was just showing off. I mean, like it was a lot of like, self-gratifying kind of artwork, if I could say it that way, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I would say he did the same thing that Jordan Peele did with his trailer. He's feeling himself. He's like, I can do this because I have risen to this level. And so I think James Cameron, the reason it took 13 years or 12 years or whatever it was to release the sequel to the original Avatar was like, I'm going to wait until I can do exactly what I wanted to do. And what he wanted to do was create that seamless motion capture in the water. Like that had never been done before.
Yeah. I get to talk about this movie. You don't get to tell me how great it is until I get done. Then we can talk about how great it is.
Okay.
I've still got things I got to say, Kyle.
All right, let's hear
it. The never-ending conclusion to the action sequence was a lot. And it just it made me feel like I was watching Titanic in the way that Titanic kept building. Like it's the same thing. It's a ship and it's flipping over, and it's just, the drowning and the not being able to breathe. Like it just was a lot. And it was a lot that like these kids learned how to breathe, but the dad, Sam, didn't learn how to breathe. I don't know. It was a convenient plot device when they needed it, and then not a thing at all otherwise. Some pieces about the special girl that they just didn't explain, and not only did they not explain, but nobody ever noticed that she'd spent days underwater and had never been there before. Like they kind of slightly observed it, but like, I don't know. The whole Native American feel to these indigenous people, it bothered me a little bit more than it should have. And I'm not a PC police kind of person, but I just feel like he borrowed too greatly from the Native Americans with these aliens. If they are truly aliens, they can be an indigenous people without a lot of technology and not just be sitting around in like their wigwam smoking on a peace pipe, like with their, crisscross applesauce is the way you got to say it now. Like it was too, even the yip, 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 like even that, some of that stuff, it was just too, he could have spent a little bit, like he spent so much time thinking about the fact that at the end of the movie, in the ship that's turned over, the kids still have on their bracelets from where they had been handcuffed.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're still wearing them and they're broken in certain pieces. And for that type of attention to detail when it came to the continuity of the action sequences and the action pieces and the artwork and the CGI, to not maybe come up with a cleaner story when you've had a bunch of years to do it and even like tighter. So I just think it was it was a really fun movie. I'm really glad that I watched it. I will go watch the third one when it comes out, and maybe the fourth. There are lots of really positive things about it, but like, I can't say it was a masterpiece or it was a great film because he got really fixated on the technology, and
Yeah.
I think he missed the mark when it came to the tightness of the story. And if you got that much time and that much money, you could have made the story tighter. You just could have. You could have fixed some things. Now, positives.
Yes. Because you ripped it a new one, man. I'm ready.
The
I want to hear some
motion,
good stuff.
the motion capture is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like this is going to sound weird, but the fingers, like the hands, the fingers, like I almost feel like those are real human. Like that's video of hands
Yeah.
that they've somehow merged into people. And like, I don't know, like I probably would spend some time on a how they did it, making of kind of thing with some of that motion capture stuff. The scale from the Navi to the humans, I thought they did really great job with that.
Yeah.
I thought they did a really great job with slight evolution types between the Navi people. I don't,
Well,
the different
adaptionary stuff. Yeah. The people that
Yeah.
lived in the water had different skills, and their bodies
Yeah.
had developed different ways from the people that lived in the forest.
Yeah, and I thought that was like really, really cool. I thought that the water stuff was great. I thought that the animals were really cool. The connection with the planet and the planet breathing and all that kind of stuff, I thought was a really cool kind of way to talk about like an indigenous group like that,
Mhm.
how they're connected, but like make it more fantastical. Like I thought that was great. I don't really understand what they're trying to do with Sigourney Weaver and this pregnancy, and I don't know if they're going to answer this in the third one. Maybe you've got thoughts on that.
Oh, I've got thoughts.
Okay, because I haven't spent the time really marinating
Sure.
on that. It did take me about 8 hours to watch the thing today, and I was like, I just got to finish it before we do this podcast. The humans are just as dumb as they've ever been. I don't know why Jermaine Clement was in this film. Like it was a very strange role. I think he just wanted to be an Avatar, and him and James Cameron are buddies or something. But that threw me for a loop. I was like, he's just here to show off that he can do an American accent. Like it's the only thing that I can think of why he's here. I love the whale, man. The messed up whale. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. Again, a pretty common trope. The outcast, the community outcast who ends up being the hero.
Yeah.
See, that's what I think he does so well. And you're right. The story's not airtight. The whole motivation as to why are they going scorched earth trying to find these Navi people and Jake Sully, that didn't really make sense. Why they sent them back. Is it just revenge? So that's all that was a little bit like, I don't really understand it, but I don't care. I'm enjoying this so much. But yeah, that's what he takes sort of tropes that great stories are built around, and he puts them together in his own. He creates his own gumbo, his own soup, and makes an awesome story. In my opinion.
Yeah. I thought when it comes back to the motion capture, the ability for these blue aliens to emote without having to say anything was awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
Like I got emotional at times. The pain, the agony, the details, facial features, how they were able to do that. Masterful. Like to be able to feel that way over something that weird looking, is that's a special thing that he did.
Oh,
like
yeah.
He created emotion in ways with that I just, let's talk about themes for a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything you want to say in response to some of the stuff I've talked about?
Yeah.
Before we get to theme?
Some of it's fair. I think you had a hard time overcoming the hurdle of your own prejudice toward it coming in. So you couldn't
Hey man, I did give it 4.5 lightning bolts. Like I thought it was a really, 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 really good movie.
Yeah.
And I was entertained and I was glad that I watched it, and I will watch the others.
What I love about it so much is that it reminded me of the movies I love so much from the 80s and 90s that maybe, okay, so maybe the story's not airtight, but man, there's just something about it that, drew me in. The characters are good. The story's relatable. I loved all the Sully kids. Man, I loved, the littlest one and sort of the wisecracking Rudy kind of to some extent. She's the youngest, cute, kind of funny, Rudy from the Huxtables, you know what I mean? But
I do.
um, and then there was the screw up younger brother, the dutiful older brother,
Yeah. Well, you're starting to slip into what I want to talk about for the theme, because I think that's where they nailed it. And I think where it's confusing and it doesn't make a good action film with the other theme.
So that you said it was exhausting. I was exhilarated by the last hour, just because the last hour was nonstop action sequence, just one after the other. And man, it was like I was on a treadmill. My heart was just pounding. So I loved that. I really did. That's one of the things that, when they pull up in their little sea creatures and the hovercraft are there, and it's like, we're about to have a showdown. Like my heart just starts beating fast, just thinking about it. So I love that last hour and the excitement of, the fight and how it all goes down.
Yeah. I think what was exhausting for me, and this may be just a belief that I have, I think that action movies with that much violence, action, there's a cost that's associated with every story, that when there is that much action happening, if someone doesn't die, like, why did you just do all that?
Yeah.
Like there has to be a life and death kind of peril to something. And if you don't actually end up killing somebody,
which they did though, big one.
Well, that's my point of why I thought it was such a exhausting kind of trip, is like, I just kept expecting, there were so many family members. I'm like, I thought Zoe Saldana was going to die like 8 times. And like it was just like, oh my gosh, are we about to have like a broken family? Is that what's going to happen? And, I'm Luke, I'm your father kind of moment in the end. And like, is everybody going to die? Is half the family going to die? Like, what's going to happen? Like there were so many of them that were in peril in so many different ways, where they could die so many different times. Like even Spider at the end, I'm like, he's about to kill him. Like,
yeah,
I was exhausted from that.
And see, that didn't bother me. But yes, the constant kids in peril. And I laughed so hard. Like one of the hardest times I've ever laughed in the theater is when the little one gets captured again. She's like, I'm handcuffed again. I mean, it's just a moment to laugh in that, in this like intense, like action sequence, So yeah, I loved that, man. But gosh, I might start crying just talking about it. When the ship is upside down and, Special Girl, I can't remember names, brings a trail of bioluminescent animals to find them and lead them home, and then the big brother dies. I can't believe I'm getting choked up over this. And the screw up brother gets the dad out of the ship. Shoo, man, what did dad say to him? Do you remember?
I see you.
I see you. That's all an Enneagram 4 has ever wanted to hear in his life, is someone to look him in the eye and say, I see you, And it just hit me in the feels. It just every time just gets me right in the feels, because, the brother couldn't do anything right. He's the one that adopted the rogue outcast whale. He connected with the outcast whale. So yeah, it's just one of those like, just powerful, it just really hit me in the feels, and it still does. That's why I love it so much.
So let's talk about the frustrating thing I had with the theme, and then let's talk about the greatness of the theme, which you kind of hit on a little bit. The first theme that I thought was interesting, that he tinkered with and toyed with, and maybe tinkered with in the first one as well, and probably going to do again in the third, is this notion of violence always begets violence. And the whales in particular were like, we don't kill like that. Like it only brings more death. And so like for that to be the sentiment for Jake Sully to kind of stand up and be like, if you do this, you're going to bring death to your family, to the water tribe. Like for that to be so ingrained as a moment where you go back and, Jake Sully asking the question, was it worth it? And what I did the first time, and I'm telling you not to do what I did. Don't do it. Don't fight. You're going to lose people. You're going to lose things. You're going to lose stuff. Like people will die. Like you're going to lose your life as you know it. And him having to give up his life because of the violence, like everything that they experienced was because of this first interaction with these people. And so for that to be kind of a theme that is laid out, and then for it to be like, nope, we're about to blow some crap up. You know what I mean? Like we're about to drop a whale on top of a ship, and then the whale's going to do this, and then the whale's going to fight. The whale that got cast out for fighting or doing whatever, is now doing it again. And so is he going to be accepted for doing the same thing that he was unaccepted for the first time? Like there's some complexity and nuance there that I don't really have an answer to. And when we get into the larger picture of themes, it's like, you could even go so far as to say that like for people that claim peace is one of the biggest things that anybody should do in their life, because the opposite of peace, we're both Christians. We both believe in Jesus, and like, he's called the Prince of Peace. And with that, like, there's this notion of that, like, blessed are the peacemakers. Like at what point when do you stand up for yourself? When it comes to just war theory, or when it comes to things like that, at what point do you stand up and fight? And like, I'm not looking for answers there, but it's just it's a thing that James Cameron tiptoed up to, and then it was like, let's blow some stuff up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I don't really know the answer. I don't know, like, what would you do if you're on an alien planet and your family's threatened and the world's threatened and these people are here, but that like they're going to show up with more people because they're looking for Amorite and everybody wants to, like, or unobtainium or whatever. It's just this endless cycle. So what do you do?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't think of it on that level. So that's an interesting thought process, interesting take. I took it on the very surface level of, my kids are in danger and I got to save my kids. Your kids are in danger. We got to save your kids, but Jake he went out, he paddled out, and he was willing to give himself up for the safe return of his kids. And it wasn't going to go down that way, So it's like, we got to fight for our kids, And so that's, I didn't go to that deeper level, and I don't know that I want to go to that deeper level with a film like Avatar: The Way of Water. Like I want. Yeah,
well, I mean, if that's the case for me, then James Cameron, don't bring it up. Like don't bring it up. Don't make the whales have a life ethic that's better than the humans.
Yeah. But perhaps their life ethic isn't right. Perhaps, the outcast whale was cast out. I don't remember the details at this point, but there was a misunderstanding. Basically, he was defending these other whales is what happened. And it was a misunderstanding. And because the rigidity of their, of their ethic, he was cast out. And so he proved himself to be a hero in the end, that he defended, he defended his people. He defended those he loved. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting debate.
Here's the thing, man. Like to talk about, I don't know if I want to think about it that much with a James Cameron film. Like fundamentally, what we're doing, even though it's pop culture, like this is something that's important because it's art. Whatever art you want to call it, it can be pop art, it could be, throwaway disposable art, it could be popcorn movie, but it's still art, and it's there to entertain you. It's there to make you laugh. It's there to make you cry. It's there to make you nervous. It's there to make you think. And so, like, some of the stuff that we do talk about, and something I've kind of grappled with a little bit when it comes to the podcast and what we're doing with our art is, what are we doing of value? Is it valuable to make someone have a good time? Yeah,
sure.
Is it valuable to make somebody think? Yeah. And so, like, I don't think there's anything wrong I think all we do is pick stuff apart. So yeah, James Cameron's making us think, and like I think you got to think about it and at least have conversations about it. And I think that if we want to get to the like kind of the last theme kind of element for me, I think the biggest thing about this movie, if you were to put one word, what would you put? Starts with an F.
Family. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is a movie about family. I didn't expect it. It's a very traditional nuclear view of family, male and female roles. And like, I don't know if that speaks to the fact that James Cameron's like 97 years old or however it is, but like, adopted family,
even found family,
biological family, connection, the effects of a biological family, not feeling that you fit in with the rest of the world, but your family still accepts you and loves you. Like, just some really, 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 really beautiful and powerful things there. And I think that they presented a very traditional view of what family life is like, from the youngest kid to the middle kid to the oldest kid. They did those dynamics really well. They did the dynamics of them being kids and doing kid-like things and it not being hyper annoying, like to take the delicate idea of I'm always not going to do what my parent tells me to do. Every chance I get when a parent's like, don't do this, they go and do it. Every time, Kyle.
Yeah.
But it doesn't bother you in the moment, because some of the reasons why they go and do things like are good. Some of the reasons are at least understandable. So I was blown away by the theme of family and the theme that how they presented it, and like the complexities and the emotions and the joy. Some of the writing was really interesting choices that I felt like an old man wrote the script a little bit. Like, I'm going to jerk a knot in you is not really something that it's something that I don't know. I can guarantee you David Watson said that to me. I don't know if you got that from Donnie Brasco Wiltshire, but like,
no.
That's something that boomers for sure had in their life. These snowflakes today, it's like, we don't tell our kids no. So like some of that stuff, some of that stuff's pretty interesting, it's a very traditional film in that sense, of what they present for the nuclear family, which really, really in the last 5 years probably has, no other movie has probably done that in the last 5 years that's on that scale. Everything else is like super agenda driven in some way.
Yeah.
And for this to be a normal, I know we're talking about aliens, but a normal mom and a normal dad and normal kids, that was a little different for me.
Yeah.
Could have gone lots of different ways and they didn't.
Well, and we don't have to get too much into this because I think we've talked a lot about this, but I even appreciated on some level Jake at the end of the film coming to a place where he had a little faith, where he was like, I don't know what Iowa is, the goddess kind of mother of the planet or whatever, but he's going to believe, I thought that was pretty cool. Again, it's not Christian faith, but it's a faith. And I would like to now give my theory of who Sigourney Weaver is, who she was the scientist, and
yeah, she died and they put her into the tree.
Yep.
And her essence is in the tree now.
But her body,
that's how I took it.
So what they tried to do was the same thing they did to Jake at the end of the movie. They took his human body and they merged it through the spiritual, biological forces that run this planet, and they connected his soul and put it into this avatar. So now he is embodied in the Na'vi person. They tried it with earlier in the film. This is the original film. They tried it with Sigourney Weaver's character, and it didn't take. She died. And yet somehow the avatar lived, got pregnant, gave birth to this child that...
How amazing is sci-fi fantasy, by the way?
Well, it's not as amazing as you think, because I believe this child is Jesus. I believe what they have done is the
Immaculate Conception.
the
Sure.
Immaculate Conception, the embodiment of Eowa is now in this person, this Na'vi person who is both human and Na'vi. So she's 2 in 1. And she,
So who knocked up Sigourney?
Eowa did. Eowa put herself into
Human form,
in child form,
into alien form, Na'vi form.
had the baby, and now this, and she doesn't know it. She doesn't understand who she is, but that's who she is. And so I think probably as we get into the sequels, however many are there going to be, I think there may be as many as 6 planned.
So teenage Neo is about to like fly out of the waterverse and like, float around and like laser beam the humans.
I think she's going to be able to talk to all the animals, and she's going to be able to control the nature. She's going to be able to use the planet as to be able to defend itself against these invaders. So yeah, that's what I think is going to happen there. She'll learn these things about herself. She'll come to an understanding of who she is and the power that she wields. I
thought that, I don't know who plays her, but I thought that particular actress and that character was really well developed.
It was Sigourney Weaver. She did the voice, she did the motion capture, everything, even as like the child.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't catch that at all.
Yeah. It's her voice.
Why did they do that? Why did they make her the child too?
I think, just to give Sigourney Weaver something to do and let her stay in the film, let her stay involved in the franchise. But if you hear it, you can hear it in her voice. I think they maybe did some modulation to make it sound a little,
younger,
but it's definitely her. It's definitely her.
There you go.
So yeah,
well, we learn something every day, Kyle.
We're a bit out of time. But I wanted to say this, and we can keep going. I don't care, but I wanted to say that one of the inspirations for me that I've touched on this, but for the Dead Rock Stars, was if you read the Dead Rock Stars, there are many things. We did the same technique. We took many ideas that are in other stories, and we kind of made it our own in our story. It's the same thing that George Lucas did with Star Wars. He took the hero's journey. He took the princess in distress. He took the mentor. He took the whatever, but he created it into his own story. And I think we took some of those themes, some of those tropes, if you want to say,
yep. Sure,
and put it into our own thing. You could say, we were inspired by Men in Black. We're inspired by Kingsman. We're inspired by, many other, kind of stories that we love, that we enjoy, and put it into our own story, which is unique. I don't think you read Dead Rock Stars and you go, oh, it's just a Men in Black knockoff, or it's just a,
Kingsman or Ready Player One,
or whatever. No, it's its own thing, even though it has some of those similar things. And I think that's what helps draw people into the story. When they're reading something, they're like, oh yeah, it's sort of like when you eat a dish, it's like, oh, I've eaten something like this before and I like it. I'm familiar with it. I think it's the same thing. I think that was one of the things that I wanted to do in our story was make it familiar in a way that it didn't feel like, I don't know what this is about. I've never seen anything like this, So I just wanted to say that while we're talking about inspirations.
Yeah. And I'll throw a little bow on all this if we want to wrap it up kind of quickly. I think one of our bigger themes in our book that we've written is family.
Yeah.
It's a significant thing, and whether it's biological or found or, a faith community, whatever you want to do, like your people are your people. And when you have your people, it's a lot easier to make it through life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on my end, this has been fun, man. We ought to do this again. Pretty good for the halfway spot. And I just want to say, Kyle, I see you.
Oh, that feels so good. That feels so good. Here's the thing, though, Jay. The other thing about an Enneagram 4, like myself, is, you never really believe someone when they tell you they see you. You're just like, you just think you see me. You don't really see me. You don't know me. If you really knew me, you wouldn't like me. That's the other thing that we have to beat out of ourselves, and not believe the lies that
I get that
we tell ourselves.
I think I'm on record, though, buddy. I think I've got 20 plus years of being a Kyle Wiltshire fan.
Without question. And same goes for me as well. Same goes for me. So what did you learn? What did you learn today in all of our watching of movies and our discussing of movies? What is something that Jay Watson has learned?
Yeah, man, I loved your take on Fame. Like I didn't extrapolate that far, and for you to be able to watch it on the first run through and grab that, I thought was really, really cool, and it makes the movie even better for me. Kind of looking at that.
Okay. Well, I'd say the same thing. I did not take Avatar to the place that you did of, thinking to the depth. I learned that you probably think on movies at a level much deeper than me, particularly when it comes to like action movies and stuff. I'm like, man, was it exciting? Did stuff blow up? Was it cool? I loved it. It was great.
I don't know about that, gal. I don't know.
I want to.
You're probably right. Like I enjoy some of the philosophical as well. Like Walking Dead for me is not just a show about zombies, but it's like all these moral, ethical choices that are fascinating.
Yeah. And I typically didn't watch it that way. I typically was like, how are they going to get out of this one? You know? So all right, man. I have a thought. I want to say this before we go. You said we should do this again, and I've already been thinking about it. You know me. My wheels are always turning. I think we need to do this, but we need to do it with music. I give you an album to listen to. You give me an album to listen to. And
a whole album,
not just a song, a whole album.
Okay.
And we come back. I don't know if that'll be our next episode, but I think before this season's
in the
over,
future,
that's something we need to do. Yeah.
Yeah. I got some stuff I want to talk about as far as like next episode. I've been binge watching Lioness. Speaking of Avatar and Zoe Saldana, I've been binge watching Lioness, and I want to talk about that, man. I want to talk about Taylor Sheridan in particular. That dude is prolific.
He's prolific right now.
He's got ghostwriters.
He's got to.
All right, man. Well, I see you.
Hey, I see you too. And that's
Nope.